Coco Gauff standing on business. And she makes the fourth round of the U.S. Open again. As always, this coverage is brought to you via the doctrine of fair use, the fair dealing, and the digital Millennium Act. For the fourth straight year, Coco Gauff will now enter the second week of New York. That's right. This is the fourth year she is in the fourth round and 4 more wins from holding the U.S. Open Championship once again. Let's take a look at this matchup, guys. Magdalena Frech. She now owns the head-to-head 3-love against Magdalena and another straight set win. Let's take a look at the first set statistics. Overall, Coco Gauff played the match I thought she needed to play. If you take a look there, look how deep Magdalena is behind the baseline. You see how deep she is, but you also see she's on the move. She's on the back foot defending. And look at Coco. Pretty stationary. That's a very comfortable position to be in. And I felt Coco kept Magdalena on the back foot all day long. We're in New York. We are at the match. Beautiful match. And by the way, we're going to talk Osaka next, so stay tuned. But the exact game plan I said in the pre-match video, this is what Coco needs to do. I feel Magdalena is a great shot maker. And look, guys, this is the amazing thing about this channel. I've been covering these ladies amongst their journey. Remember, Magdalena was consistently playing on the ITF. I covered her matches on the ITF to the point where she finally broke through on the main tour. I covered those matches. What a beautiful story. How about the Mira Andreevas just bursting on the scene? The Beatrice Haddads, winning 100 plus matches in 2 years on the lower level, then stepping up to the main tour. The Cocos I've been covering for so long during the journey, when she wasn't a slam champion, when everyone was saying she would never win a slam. Well, she's got two-time slam champion, all of the ladies, I can go on and on that I've covered amongst their journey. Sabalenka before she was a slam champion. Rybakina before. Jasmine Paolini amongst her journey. Yastremka coming back after the suspension and getting to the top. I've been covering all of these ladies for their amazing journeys, and it's just beautiful to see where we are now. Magdalena, listen, an amazing tournament, but it was tough. Being on the back foot like that, it's just you're just not really a threat to your opponent. And this, if I feel Coco can do the same against Osaka, she'll have a chance to be successful. She's got to make Osaka move because Osaka can camp out with the best of them and drop bombs. Now, in the first set, Coco Gauff, 79% of her first serves in play. That's a good number, right? She wants to be only one double fault. Now, I talk a lot about the serve. That's not really a good image there, but the new technique that I see so far with the serve, a lot of emphasis on that left hand, right? The ball toss. That left hand is very straight. It's stationary, and you can see the mechanical adjustment that Gavin's making. But I will also say some of the best servers don't necessarily have that ball tossing hand straight in the air with a nice vertical posture. A lot of players, they just don't, However, though, for the improvement of Coco's technique and to reduce the double faults, I think she needs a consistent routine that she can feel comfortable and confident in. So I like what Gavin's doing. He's the expert, and we're going to see how this thing plays out here. She would win 64% of her first serves for most of the first set and only 50% of her second serves. However, the break points, guys, 2 for 6, that was the key, just the pressure. Again, look how deep Magdalena is behind the baseline. And as she's returning, Coco's just going down the line or mixing it up with short ball. So it was very tough for Magdalena all day. Now, the second set, 3 double faults. So Coco would have 4 double faults total, but she gets 72% of her first serves in play. And here's the key. She would win 85% of her first serves, 11 for 13. She would win 75% of Magdalena's second serves, 70% of her first serves, and more break points, 3 for 5. I thought Coco played an amazing match. And again, I've been covering Magdalena along her journey from the ITF. I used to say all the time, Magdalena has more frequent miles than any player on tour because she'll play a tournament wherever there's a court and a ball. And I'm so happy to see her in New York getting these big game checks. She deserves it. Coco Gauff, guys, into the 4th round for the 4th straight year. And then, like I always say, for Coco, for the top players that want to win the U.S. Open, your first goal, of course, is to win your first match. But you have to get into the second week. You want to get into the second week because then the dream starts to become a reality. It's like a SMART goal. It starts to get a little bit more realistic, and you start to get that confidence and that belief that, look, I can do this. I can win this, but you have to get to the second week. Coco's here in the second week, and I'm telling you guys, just 4 more wins. And of all the ladies left in the draw, there's not a player that Coco cannot beat. And for the most part, the majority of them, she has beat. So the belief has to be there. Coco Gauff wins, ladies and gentlemen. In her post-match interview, she would say, she put a lot of pressure on herself. It does feel good to make it to the second week. And listen, ladies and gentlemen, this was the type of win she needed. Go back to the camp, continue to work, continue to practice, continue to get that mental focus and belief. This was a great win for Coco. I think it's just a huge mental booster because next up, she's going to need it, ladies and gentlemen. Naomi Osaka taking on Dasha Kina. That's right, guys. Osaka would come out guns blazing in the first set. How about a bagel? 4 aces. She struggled to get her first serves in play, only 50%, but she won 86% of them. Dasha, listen, we talk about Coco's struggle on the serve, but Dasha, I feel she has the talent to win a slam. She's got to work on the serve, guys. She has to work on the serve. 8 double faults for Dasha today. Only 26% of her first serves in play. As much as Coco double faults, she's not giving you that many second serve looks. I mean, I'm just speechless. Dasha's got to work on the serve. She's too good of a player, and she's getting up there in age. 26% of her first serves in play. You rarely see Coco with a stat like that, even with her double faults. 26% of her first serves in play. She won 60% of them, lost 21% of her second serves. And despite the second set win, I just feel Dasha was on the back foot too much in this match. If Dasha does not double fault that much, I think she beats Osaka. So that's a good perspective. And again, you can't really compare players to players when you're talking about your next opponent. But one thing I will say is when you see Osaka hitting the corners, moving this well, that's a problem. Osaka's moving very, very well. And a matchup with Coco Gauff coming up next, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned. I'm going to give you that video. That's going to be a long video. I might even just find a place to pull up the studio and give you something funny and hilarious because Osaka's having a little bit too much fun out here. Konnichiwa. That's the inner zen. She looks beautiful. She looks amazing. She's confident, always has a lot of respect for her opponent. She does her quick celebration, and then she gets ready to just acknowledge, the match and respect her opponent. I just think she's always classy. But what about Billie? Is that Billie Jean King Bling, or is that the other one? I don't know, ladies and gentlemen, but Osaka's having too much fun out here. And to see how this whole thing started with the suggestion, with the gift, I think it's gotten to a point where it's keeping her happy. It's keeping her thriving and anticipating the victory interview. Now, that is interesting because she's going into the match planning for a possible interview on where she can talk about these beautiful little creatures. I don't know what they are, but that's that kind of momentum that can make you play harder because she knows if she doesn't win, she can't talk about the Billie Jean blings. And did you see the Arthur Cash, or what was it? Unbelievable. I want to see a Serena Williams, but wait, that would mean she would have to beat Coco. So it's going to get very interesting, guys. Now, the head-to-head, it's 3-2. That's right, guys. Coco does own the head-to-head, but that last win in Beijing, it came via a retirement. Remember Coco, I covered the video. She helped carry Osaka's bags off. What was it? I can't recall. Was it a shoulder or abdominal injury, ribs, something like that? Now, Osaka had that match won. She won the first set 6-3. She was up 4-3 in the second set, and she was serving. Coco Gauff would win the next 3 service games, but when Osaka broke Coco to go up 4-3, it looked like she was going to win that match comfortably, but something happened. She tweaked something, and that was that. Coco would win the actual tournament. But I do want to really talk about the first time they played in New York. Now, Coco Gauff was, I don't know, I want to say she was 15, to be honest with you, because that was the 2019 year, which she had that amazing performance at SW19. So Osaka won 6-3, 6-love. And Osaka's such a classy player. Coco was getting her bags, getting ready to leave the court. And Osaka said, come over. They came to see you. They want to hear from you. I thought that was classy. Then they went to the Australian Open in 2020, where we all thought Osaka was going to win that. And by the way, Osaka's to the 4th round of a slam for the first time since 21, where, yeah, she won the U.S. Open. So that's interesting, guys. But in Australia, I thought Osaka would win the Australian Open in 2020. But Coco beat her, and I felt Osaka's level was very low that day. I don't think Osaka played her best tennis at all. If her best level is 95 to 100%, I'd say Osaka played a 70 for a level. It just wasn't, maybe even, I don't know, maybe even lower. It just wasn't a good match. Then they would head to Cincinnati, where Osaka would defeat Coco in 3 sets. She would pull out against the championship match against Vika. Then she would go to the New York Slam, U.S. Open, of course, we're here, and beat Azarenka in the final. 22, they face each other in San Jose. By the way, bring back tennis to San Jose. And we were talking about the Canadian tournaments, by the way. I think Montreal, they did do better this year. But Vancouver was brought up by one of the subscribers, and I do think Vancouver is a place where they should have a tournament. It's a beautiful city. Remember the Vancouver Grizzlies that would move to Memphis? Vancouver's a beautiful city for a tournament. I would think they should do that. Why not? And then Coco Gauff won the match in San Jose in straight sets, and then the Beijing match. The key here with the match, I feel Coco's had the test that she's needed to get through Osaka. She's had the Donna Vekic, the good power, the good backhand. She's had Isla, the long 25-shot rallies consistently. She's had Magdalena, again, the long rallies consistently. The one key with Osaka, it's going to be long rallies. I don't think she's had, aside from Dasha, I don't think Osaka's had those type of players in her draw. She had Greet Menon, who she could overpower and bully anytime. She had Haley Baptiste, who she could overpower at any time of the rally and win that point. Dasha was that one test, and she lost a set. And if Dasha served well, I think Dasha probably wins the match, to be honest with you. Coco, on the other hand, she's had those tests, the Islas, the Donnas, the Frechs, the long rally players. I think she has her form and her rhythm now. And you factor in movement, which has always been superior to Osaka. Osaka relies on her power to get back on the front foot when she's behind. I don't know if that's going to work with Coco. So stay tuned. We're going to talk about that in depth, guys. I'm your host, Good Energy. Osaka wins. Coco wins. This is the championship match as far as I'm concerned. This is what everyone wants to see. And I'm going to talk about it. Long video coming up. We'll be back, guys.